Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
So, guys, I want to give you a list of just some things that we have been buying, some brands, some things that we've, stocked up. And, maybe you guys, are all set. A lot of people have asked, though, well, what do you buy? What are you guys stocking up? And even how much? Or, what do you anticipate we're going to be facing in the future? And what we've gotten from the guides is how we've prepared accordingly to what we've gotten from the guides. I should probably put it that way, which is, I know there's a lot of companies out there with a lot of long-term, real long-term food storage, like 25 years and stuff like that. And perhaps that's wise, to even go that far out. But the guides have not given us, well, they've never said to us, stock up on stuff that's going to last you 25 years. Now that could be just for us. It could literally be just for Cindy and myself and our own purposes. As if you've been with the channel a long time, we see ourselves being somewhere not in the United States in about 9 to 10 years. Where? All I know is that it definitely has a Latin America feel. We both have gotten the visions, and we know it's going to be somewhere pretty tropical-ish. So, we're thinking personally more like we got to get through the roughest patch, which we believe is going to be right now till maybe like around 3 to 4 years, somewhere in that range. I think we're looking at 2025-ish, and then as being prepared to be able to get through this time frame. So, we're thinking more in terms of, food supply to have enough stock where, worst case scenario, could we survive if we did not leave the house for a couple of years, basically?
And we've gotten creative, and we had to get an understanding about what are our diets like, what are our nutritional needs. And there's one need that I have that's probably very common, and that's I need iron in my diet. I must have a way to supplement iron. I need extra iron. And that's something that we take into consideration too. But there's just so much we have to think about when we're getting ready for this stuff.
So you might be looking at the screen and saying, okay, what is that word? Holodomor. And, this was an atrocity. There's no other way around it. And many people probably have never heard of it. But this literally means to kill by starvation. It was known as the Terror Famine, sometimes referred to as the Great Famine. It was a famine in the Soviet Union from 1932 to 1933 that killed millions of Ukrainians. Some sources say even as many as 10 million. Some say perhaps even more than 10 million people that died of starvation when they didn't have to. And that's just a horrible thing. And so, this was a man-made intentional famine. And it was all about eliminating people from their home turf, basically. Again, happened in the Ukraine, which, right now it's interesting too. We have a lot of political tension between Russia and the Ukraine. And this was a plan of Stalin and his regime. And so, it was just, there's no other word but an absolute atrocity, a horror. And again, it was entirely intentional and man-made. And so, they didn't accept outside aid, meaning first they were in denial, in purposeful denial. And we're talking about the leadership that was in place there. So most of the people that starved were ethnic Ukrainians. And it was a peacetime catastrophe. Absolutely no reason. Truly, it was a genocide. And, again, it was clearing out some people that were in a land so eventually they could bring in others for more living space. And, the means to do it was all through basically taking over control of the food supply chain. Absolutely horrendous. And this is the organic prepper, by the way. So yeah, 1932 and 1933, mass genocide took place in Ukraine. Millions of people, including children, were deliberately starved to death by the Soviet Union. During the Holodomor event, state-organized famine was deployed when the Ukrainian people continued to thrive and keep their cultural identity separate from the USSR, despite being controlled by the communist forces. It was a way to cause a homogenization by the elimination of a people. The Ukraine is one of the breadbaskets of the world. It's known for its black gold soil. And this was absolutely pure evil. They took control of the food supply as part of the 5-year plan of 1928 to 1933. Soviet leaders conducted a massive reorganization of privately owned farms into collective, state-owned farms, and imposed high crop requisition quotas. It was the sale of grain that was to pay for industrialization. Independent farmers were forced to give up to the state their private land, livestock, and equipment without any compensation. They simply became workers of the collective farm, who would be paid only if the collective farm handed over to the state the quota and crops set by Moscow. This type of thing is going on all throughout history. All throughout history. The Ukrainians initially rebelled, but the rebellion was met with brutal retaliation. State-controlled media demonized the wealthiest of the farmers, their families, and the community leaders. They were othered to the point that it was little surprise when they were either executed or sent away to a camp.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to make note of history, because history can repeat itself, guys. And it can repeat itself in a very large way.
Right. History is there for us to learn from, not there for people to criticize or dislike. It's there for us to learn from.
So, how many calories do you need a day? According to Harvard Health Publishing, the minimum caloric intake per day is 1,200 for a woman, 1,800 for a man. Starvation calories are an intake of fewer than 600 calories per day. However, any caloric intake below the recommended minimum doesn't provide the body with the fuel it needs to function properly. Starvation diet doesn't promote weight loss because your metabolism slows down in response to the low caloric intake. Moreover, because hunger and serious side effects are associated with these type of eating plans, unsustainable and dangerous. Obviously, it would be. There's different things we can do and approach it from different angles. When you look at 1,200 calories for a woman, 1,800 for a man, a good portion of my life, I would say I was probably in the 16 to 1,800 calories a day and doing absolutely wonderfully, even with exercising, because your body will adapt. And, many will say we need much more than that, and others will say you don't need even close to that. I think it's up to the individual and everybody. It really depends on where you're at. And it depends on, other factors too, because not every calorie is equal, not by any means. And you want to be eating nutritionally dense foods. That's the bottom line, because you could go to McDonald's 3 times a day. I think there was a guy that did this and probably almost ended his life. Mm-hmm. Didn't he do that? There was somebody that did it for like a year.
There was a movie, and it's like he went to McDonald's. I don't know. I think it was only 30 days. But it was crazy what happened to his body, all the changes. He took blood work and weighed himself before and during the process. And then afterwards, he had like major heart problems and stuff.
Yeah, and by the way, I saw an article today, which I saw after we did the first video, that was talking about how they were finding plastics inside the fast food that can be extremely detrimental to your health. In the actual food products is these plastics. And you wonder why sperm counts are down 60%. You wonder why fertility rates have plummeted. And the world population is actually it's not growing like it was, especially in really in Europe and the United States and the other civilized nations. So again, everybody is unique, and there's different things you can do. As far as keeping track of what you need nutritionally. This is my food diary. There's so many things out there. There's so many. There's like Fit Buddies, and stuff where you can put in your things that you're eating a day, and find out, because you might be surprised, really surprised. That's something that I kept track of for years and years on end, from the standpoint of micronutrients and macronutrients. And your macros might be perfect, exactly what you're shooting for, and you still might find that you're short a lot of vitamins. So, again, supplements, but not all supplements are created alike either.
No, they're not. I've learned a lot about supplements lately, and there's different kinds, and you really need to be in a good understanding about what your body needs. That's critical.
So, when this is Fit Day, now this is obviously, well, I shouldn't say obviously, but it's definitely lacking compared to a lot of the other ones that are out there. However, myself being a dinosaur, this is one I used way back and just continued to use it because I had so many custom foods put in it that it made it easy for me. So when you look at it, if you look at a cup of rice, right, brown rice is better because there's more nutrition in there and there's more fiber. But that's 684 calories for a cup of brown rice. Now, if you had that with a cup of lentils, the lentils are 911 calories. Right there, you have enough calories if you're a lady, and also probably enough for most of the guys to get through the day. Now, if you add in a cup of oats, another 607 calories, and say 1 scoop of pea protein, and if you prefer whey protein, whey protein. When you look at the macros here, you're talking 111 grams of protein, which is well above, more than double the US RDA. So that's plenty of protein for the day. That'd actually be pretty high in iron too. It should be. Yeah, it looks like you're making your RDA no problem because of those lentils. So, that's 442% of the US RDA there. So you got plenty of protein, you got 351 grams of carbs, plenty of carbs, and plenty ample fat, and 2,300 calories. You're not going to starve on that. Yet, how much does that really cost? It doesn't cost a lot. That really doesn't cost a lot when you're looking at that. We've been buying these bags of rice, and I'm going to share with you the brand. It's an expensive rice, but it's nutritionally very high nutrient value. And so, basically we're paying now, unfortunately, I think I paid 60 something dollars for 25 pounds. So it's more than $2 a pound right now. But, if you just round it off at $2, because, you might find cheaper brands, you definitely can find cheaper brands. So basically 1 cup would be like $1. So the lentils, about the same, about $1. The oats, about the same, again, about $1. So, and then the pea protein is $60 for 74 servings, and that's 1 serving. So that's less than $1. So you're basically living on somewhere between $3.50, maybe $4. That's all that costs you for that day. And that would more than keep you alive. Now we're talking more like, we're not obviously talking about, enjoyment. We're just talking about survival. This is just talking about basic survival. Like, say we're going to be faced with another crisis like they had in the Ukraine. Well, here you could basically feed yourself with ample calories, fat, carbs, and protein for about $3.50, maybe $4. That's just like going to the dollar menu, right? But yet you're going to get way more nutrients, and it's not going to shorten your life. Now, if you look into the vitamins, you'll see there's some that are severely lacking. So what would be good in there? Well, some dairy. That would definitely take care of things like your calcium. So it gets more difficult when we're in those serious starvation, situations that have faced humanity in the past. It really does get much more difficult unless you're well prepared to cover all the nutrients, the micronutrients. That's the trickier part, really, to it. But again, people will say, I can't stock up. It's just too expensive. Well, if you break it down and you look at it this way, can you afford $3.50 to feed yourself for the day?
You got to start asking yourself these questions because times are a changing and it's very complicated. It's one thing to talk about it and think about it with friends and even, think about it with yourself. It's another thing to actually put things into play, implement them.
Yeah. So again, you just shift the way you're buying things, and a lot of the processed foods are really expensive. These are not processed foods. Well, I guess we could call the pea protein processed, but not the oats, the lentils, and the rice. A lot of people have a misunderstanding of what's healthy and what's not healthy. Now, if you are very, very muscular, if you're a bodybuilder, weightlifter, um, you probably will have a BMI that's a little bit higher than what's recommended. And that's your body mass index. And I'm sharing with you because my wife is so lovely that she'll share her height and weight. So she's 5'5" and she weighs 115 pounds, which gives her a BMI of 19.1. And, that goes into the normal weight. 18.5 to 24.9 is normal. Over 25 is considered overweight. 30 or over, then that's obese, and that's where you would basically be shortening your life greatly by being that far overweight. Just to share with you guys, for me, at 5'11", this morning I weighed 175, so my BMI is 24.4, which puts me at the normal end, but on the higher end. But most people would probably look at me and say, well, he's relatively thin, but
definitely, yeah.
But this is what's really better for us. Longevity. Every study done always has shown that if you really want to live a longer life, it's caloric restriction. You don't want to go over. So we were talking about those minimums, like 1,200 calorie minimum for a woman. That would actually, because most people are way over that. And again, that's the bottom line. But it would probably actually lengthen your life. It would be a good thing because, again, especially when you consider that food is fuel, and just like a car, the more you burn fuel, the more the engine's working, more ultimately you're getting closer to the end of the machine operating. So caloric restriction always extends life, and people that are on a caloric restrictive diet typically live about 7 years longer. And the studies have been done on humans as well as on lab animals.
Right.
And that makes me think of
makes me sad.
That makes me think of the sickle maker, Dr. F, and all the atrocities that were done to the poor animals.
Right.
So I'll give you guys all these links so you could think about things, because realistically, if you're a woman, 1,500 calories should be fine, absolutely fine, for a day, and for a male, maybe 2,000, would be fine. It depends on how hard you're working and what type of exercise you're doing on a daily basis as well. Obviously, a construction worker who then goes and jogs 5 miles 3 or 4 days of the week and hits the gym, is lifting weights, well, his caloric needs are going to be a lot higher than say maybe an accountant who doesn't get to the gym and is just sitting at his desk all day. Now, Sun Valley Rice, they have a product called Planet Rice, which I just love the taste. I think it's good nutritionally, and again, maybe you guys know products that are better and better, at better cost, better value. I'm just sharing what we've done. So, there might be better stuff out there for sure. And maybe, some of you guys have done a lot more research as well. But again, just people were asking, what do you buy? What have you stocked up on? And this is one that we've been using, non-GMO, and has a lot of GABA in it. And so this is some of their products, which we have. Their sprouted brown rice. I want to say there's about 100 pounds on the shelf of this sprouted brown rice in our kitchen. So, and we also have gotten the California blonde rice too. We do have some of that too. Honestly, it's like perfect rice every time. It really is.
It's good stuff.
And we are not affiliated with any of these companies besides Medicinal Foods, which you guys know about. So we're just sharing with you, stuff that we found and that we think tastes good, seems good, decent, buy. From our standpoint, it seems to be trustworthy. Great River Organic Milling too. I've gotten a lot of stuff from them, and actually, it just got 3 big bags of oats in because we like oats.
We love oats. They're really good. My body craves them. Your cells tingle. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, it'll store as long as you keep it dry, keep it, away from the bugs. These things will store for quite a while. I think you could go beyond those best buy dates. So you have many different types of flour, as you can see: buckwheat flour, organic lily white flour, stone ground rye flour, hard red spring wheat, rye grain. There's different blends. We usually get them in 25-pound bags, and they have gone up because I had bought a bunch before, which we just about cleared out, and I was buying it at $49.99, and now I think it's $69.99. So they've gone up quite a bit, but at least you could still get it right now. So there's a lot of products here, and again, it's organic. And honestly, delivery's been really fast. So, I like this particular brand. And again, we're just sharing what we like and what we've used. And this is Palouse Brand. This is out of Washington State. And so, we have their 25-pound bags of lentils, as well as split peas. They have garbanzo beans, pinto beans. They also have hard white wheat and hard red spring wheat. They have a whole bunch of stuff here too. And again, these are just good products that seem to be, again, they're non-GMO. It feels family owned. I like that type of stuff. It's non-irradiated. How many people know that food gets irradiated? Isn't that horrible? What's up with that?
I know, and then we're eating it, and it's crazy.
Yeah. So, they have different bundles here, lots of different products, good stuff. Feels trustworthy to me. And again, you guys might know something better. But, for us, we're stocked up pretty good on rice, lentils, various types of beans, stuff for making breads, things like that. We can make our own pasta. We could make our own tortillas from scratch. Now, if you're vegetarian, I've used this before, and this can come in a 5-pound container for $54.99. This is naked pea protein. Just one ingredient in it, and it's pea protein extracted from yellow split peas. So 5 pounds for $54.99. That's one of the better prices that I've seen out there. And so keeping the protein high when times get tough, it's not a bad idea. I mean, I've done so much trial and error on myself over the years. Like, I know, ideally, if I'm being very active, I function best at like about 100 grams of protein minimum. When I was doing a lot of weightlifting and a buddy was a power lifter, then I was doing like 2 to 250 grams of protein a day at that time. And that was in my youth. And I know that's not good for your kidneys long term. It's not really good for your longevity. It's not good for your joints. But that was in my youth. But still, protein can be something that can be really costly. Think about it. People say all the time, well, I have to eat my meat, but, shoot, now a steak costs $15 for the cheapest steak out there that's basically all grizzle and fat. Well, if you get 2 scoops of this, it might cost you a dollar and change, maybe, $1.15. It's going to have as much protein in it as your steak. And there's none of the fat. There's none of the cholesterol. None of that negative, aspect to it. Sure, doesn't have the taste of a steak. I understand that, but we're talking about survival here. And Levels is a company that I started to get because the other company I was using for their whey protein has gone through the roof. But right now you could still get a 5-pound jug of this whey protein for about $59, where every other one pretty much that's got none of the crap in it. Non-GMO. All the cows are grass-fed. It's organic. If you're going to go with the whey protein, this would be a really good brand to go with. And we have like 4 of the 5-pounders or 5 of the 5-pounders in our little stock.
Mm-hmm.
To go along with the pea protein. So, because proteins can get expensive, they can be really expensive. Just look at the price of the meats out there. So again, you're talking a fraction of the cost. And if you're taking a shake in the morning with fresh juice, which is so nutritionally dense, and you add some of this protein powder to it, you got all your aminos. So in reality, you don't need the meat, really. You need the amino acids. And this is a complete amino acid profile. And whey protein, besides eggs and whey protein are the easiest, fastest, most utilized by the body.
Mm-hmm. And so, very good to have things like that around, close to you.
Another brand that's great is Anthony's. And Anthony's, they have all sorts of stuff. I mean, all sorts of stuff. I've used so many different things over the years from them. All sorts of supplements. Yeah, just go over to their best sellers. Again, organic, feels healthy, feels clean. They also have all sorts of protein powders. They have all sorts of things too, like you could get maca. We use maca in our shakes. You could get organic cocoa powder. You can see they have buckwheat groats. They have coconut milk powder, cheddar cheese powder. I mean, they have so much stuff that you wouldn't even, maybe even think of. Organic tapioca flour, coconut flour, all the alternatives there as well. Almond flour. They got so much stuff here. It'll take a while to go through it. So I would definitely check them out. As well, they got snacks, nuts and seeds. They got superfoods. They have chlorella, spirulina. Like we never run out of chlorella, spirulina, wheatgrass, maca, Siberian ginseng. We use all those things in our shakes. We buy. I think there were 5 pounds, or there might have been 10 pounds of chia seeds. We have a couple of bags of chia in bulk like that too. I think I have 10 1-pound bags of ginger, by the way.
Yes, good stuff.
And turmeric. We never run out of turmeric. I got 4 more pounds of turmeric coming in, organic as well. as far as oils, I really pretty much just use two for the most part. And I always keep coconut oil on hand. And, you know, we buy it by the gallon, and it's gone up a lot. But this is the brand I've been using. So we have like 3 gallons of coconut oil. Now, coconut oil is better for higher heat than olive oil, but we'll also use olive oil if you're just basically simmering, sauteing. And, you know, in stock right now, I probably have about 4 or 5 gallons of olive oil. Because, you know, what the guides have let us know is that everything that you see right now, it's only going to get tougher and harder. So you really have to try to be as prepared as you can. Now with the oils too, like that coconut oil, I mean, that's nutrient dense and it's also calorically dense. Again, 1 gram of carbs is 4 calories. Protein, 4 calories for 1 gram. When you go to fats, 9 calories. So again, you know, fat goes a long way. Star Wars botanicals too. We probably have 100 different spices because I love to cook and I love to cook authentic. So instead of having, yeah, and I do have some pre-made curries and chilies, things like that. I also have all the individual ingredients. So, you know, things like obviously turmeric, coriander. Most definitely my favorite herb is cilantro. So, you know, we're going to be growing a bushel of cilantro. But we have tons of basil growing right now and other stuff as well. But all sorts of herbs and spices, also bulk teas. And you can also get essential oils from them as well. Herbal extracts, lots of good stuff. Usually the prices here are really good too. So it's just another company that, you know, again, organic is where we want to go as much as possible. And one of the things I noticed in the store was it's the organic that's missing first now. You know, last time I went to the store this morning, there was a big difference from like 4 days ago. I was kind of surprised. It was very sobering because it has deteriorated really quickly out there.
Yeah, I mean, so it's time to take notice and really get stuff done and figure out what needs to be done and how it needs to be done.
And so this is FGO, and I also use them a lot for teas because, but they also have superfoods. They have loose leaf teas, tea bags, edible flowers, organic. The price seems to be really, really good. We don't drink any soda. We don't drink Powerade. We don't drink really. We really don't drink calories besides the fresh juices we do.
Right.
So primarily, you know, I'll have black coffee in the morning, and then we're sipping different teas. I'll make them with these bags. So I'll make them in bulk. I actually have a huge pot right now that's loaded up with elderberry tea, which I love. It's addictive to me.
Oh, it tastes so good. There's something about it that just quenches the whole body.
So then I'll put the elderberry tea in big mason jars. I guess they got to be about the size of a half gallon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we'll fill that up and then put that in the fridge and then just sip on that all the time. But, you know, you could also do, like I'll do jasmine, and we have all sorts of other ones in there too. Earl Grey, chamomile, have a bunch of chamomile. Green tea, we have a ton of that too. Also Irish breakfast. Hibiscus, I love hibiscus tea. The last time out, I couldn't find the tea bags at a good deal, so I ended up getting loose leaf, but we have French presses. So we just do the same thing with the French press. And hibiscus this is a great one. It's loaded with vitamin C. Loaded with vitamin C. So, you know, one of the things too, you know, how about sailors on ships? What they get? They get scurvy because they had no fresh citrus. But hibiscus, you drink hibiscus tea, you'll get a lot of vitamin C. And this is TM Sport, and trace minerals is, again, another thing I don't want to be without. So we have several bottles. We have like 3 bottles. One bottle might last 3-4 months, honestly. But the first water that I drink every day, I always put trace minerals and wormwood in it. Wormwood's really good for, you know, knocking out any sort of parasites, any of the bugs out there. And trace minerals, you see, 40,000 volts. It's electrolytes. It helps the conductivity of the body, so it's extremely healthy. You want to be conductive.
Yeah, and a little trick, you know, if you can't afford this, a little trick is you can make your own water with, I'm sorry, my brain just got stuck. The pink Himalayan salt.
Okay.
Pink Himalayan salt. That's one thing you can do to make your own. But actually, I've done both, and I do prefer these.
Yeah, taste-wise, you know, because salty water is a little tough to put down. And, you know, $19, it'll last you 3 to 4 months, I would guess. At least that's what it lasts us, because, you know, I just take in some early on in the day. And so I wanted to share these things with you guys. Now, there's so much more. Like, we keep always in stock a bunch. Like, I think 32-ounce bottles I got of organic tea tree oil, eucalyptus oil, peppermint oil. There's others too. You know, as far as the essential oils that we are never without. As far as, gosh, I don't know how many different vitamins Cindy has. There's probably 300 bottles of vitamins. I'm not kidding you guys.
Yeah.
You know, and echinacea, golden seal, boswellia. I mean, we could go on down the line.
Well, if there's one vitamin I could say everybody should have in their cupboard, no matter what, would be like vitamin C.
Yes. Now talk to them about liposomal.
And liposomal is much better for the body because your body can actually absorb it. So when the C hits your stomach, a lot of times that can just ruin the vitamin C. But if you buy the liposomal, which is protected by like a little bit of fat, it makes it so your body can absorb it so much better. But do your homework. Always, always, always do your homework.
Yes. You know, and again, you know, this is just what we do. So, you know, you might be doing something that's even better. But we just had people asking, what are you guys doing? So, you know, think in terms of that. Think in terms of, like, if we're talking about a cup of rice and a cup of lentils in a horrible situation like we're talking about happened in the Ukraine, that could keep you alive for a very long time. Sure, you might start developing different illnesses because of nutrient deficiency, but, you know, that's something else to think about as well, and try to secure yourself a good stock of a well-balanced supplement chest as well. But, you know, those things could keep you alive. 1 cup of each of those, 1 cup of rice a day, 1 cup of lentils a day, basically could avert starvation, just that little. And that's not a lot of money. So just plan it out and just say, okay, well, you know, that's 8 ounces in a cup. So 2 days, that's 1 pound. So then how many days do you want to cover? If you want to cover a year, you know, there's 365 days in the year. So again, just do the calculations. But the thing is getting started, because the other way I look at this, like we way overspent this month. Way overspent. And, you know, normally I would be sick, you know, thinking about how much money I spent. But at the same time, I think it's money in the bank, because everything is going up so much. You know, I've seen this. You know, what I just bought for $59, like not even 6 weeks ago, is now $77. And we shared before, we got from a very, very reputable source. They're expecting the price of milk to triple. It could be triple in just a matter of maybe 6 to 8 months. Triple. Some of the basic goods could end up, I mean, look at Venezuela. Look what happened, you know, in other places where when economies collapsed and you had these type of events, things will go through the roof. So it's money in the bank to actually have the food that you need to survive. You know, hopefully at least get yourself 3 to 6 months worth. At least. And be realistic about it. Really think about it and do the calculating.
Right. And, you know, if you need a little focal point, a little starting point, like I shared with you earlier, like I have a huge iron deficiency. So my preparation is going to be kind of geared toward making sure my body has that iron incoming. So if you have similar things that you might need for your body, you can use that as kind of a focal point to direct how to prepare.
Yeah, so our focus is more on a 3-year thing, and then with the thought too that hopefully we'll be able to be growing the bulk of what we need, even though we're in just 2/10 of an acre. It's going to be challenging, but you add some chickens to the mix, get a few eggs. I know there's vegans out there that don't like that idea, but I know you don't have to have the eggs.
Yeah.
It's a complete amino acid profile for when there's no more protein powders and when a steak costs $3,000.
Yep.
Again, you just have to think about how things are going and prepare as best you can for yourself in the circumstances you're in. So hopefully you guys found some of this at least interesting or get you thinking. Maybe there's some things you didn't think about, and we didn't cover anything as far as bandages and things like that, emergency type of equipment that you should have as well. We didn't go into a lot of the other things. I mean, one of the other things we did get was a indoor able kerosene heater, like my buddies type thing, just in case.
But I think we should make a series. We should. That'll be fun.
Okay.
This just covers food, and then I think we should do a series on other things that we have just in case. It'll be fun.
Yes. And then, of course, medicinal foods. So you use the coupon code EEA and you get 5% off the order. And as you stock up, you just save more. So they have all sorts of things, all different herbal tonics, elixirs, coffee substitutes, green powders, mushroom powders, building that immune system. Boy, we need to have our immune system strong, guys.
Yep.
And then they have yummy stuff too, like some of these bars.
I'm still waiting for that case.
Yeah. Macadamia nuts. There's CBD available there as well. Nano silver. That's another thing we never miss is having silver in the house. But we have a distiller that we just recently got. We did have another one in Nevada, but we left it there. It wasn't really doing so well. And then she has a colloidal silver maker that she has too. So we'll be able to distill our water ourselves. We have several other purifiers as well. And another product that's really interesting that we're in the midst of testing out, which we'll let you guys know about in the future.
Yeah.
So as always, guys, thanks for your support. And, again, be prepared. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.